Yo, what's up, everybody? Hey, I was talking about. Remember, I made a video yesterday, and I was talking about how you wouldn't come out the side. Growing up in the hood, growing up in uptown in Harlem and stuff, or like in Brooklyn and Queens and stuff. You just didn't come outside with dirty sneakers on. You would clean your sneakers before you came out. You would clean your sneakers at night. That way they would have time to dry in the morning. You would clean your sneakers. Wash them, brush them with the toothbrush. Everybody had their own little technique or their style or their method. And you would wash your shoestrings and get them nice and clean. And if you're using a rush and you didn't do it at night, you did it in the morning, you will iron it. We used to iron our shoestrings dry. Used to iron them dry. And I'm just saying, man, nobody wanted. And your feet is the closest thing to the ground. We used to keep our sneakers clean. We didn't come outside with dirty sneakers. That was just what we did. You was poor. You wanted to look good. You wanted to look your best. But I was just thinking about that. And I was thinking about like how we used to iron back in the days. You used to iron our pants. You used to iron a crease in your jeans. You used to iron our jeans. And we used to spray them with starch. That way they'd be real hard. You used to spray, they be like cardboard. Your pants would be like cardboard. And my father, I remember he used to put his jeans in the cleaners. And I remember some dudes, back in the days, the guys that was getting money, they used to get permanent creases in their pants. They would put a permanent crease in their pants. They'd take them to the cleaners, and the cleaners would iron. The cleaners would sew a crease in your pants and iron them with heavy starch. Your pants be like cardboard. And now, but I'm saying everybody wear jeans and the jeans got holes in them. You wouldn't come outside with no shit like this with holes in your jeans. You come outside with holes in your jeans now. That's the style. But back in the days, boy, your jeans had to be dark. And then Lee's, because everybody was wearing Lee's back then. They wasn't wearing Levi's. Levi's was considered white people jeans. Nobody wore Levi's. Nobody wore the Gap I'm talking about like between us. And then Gap came out with jeans. That was years later. But I remember Lee's. There was blue Lee's. The Lee's jeans. That was the style back in Harlem. And then they started coming out with different colors, like blue, black. They came out. First was the blue jeans. Then they started coming out with blue and black, and I think it was like, stuff like that years later, and the Gap. But everything was like Sergio Valente, Jordache. Remember that? Sergio Valente, Jordache. Who else was it? Yves Saint Laurent. That was like later. Like the older guys used to wear, because you was little dudes. But boy, we would not come out. And I remember for beginning of the school year, you got two pair of jeans, two sweatshirts, and stuff you had from last year. You just had, and weed. I don't know how everybody else did it, and you just had to try to find a way to match, change it up every day. But that's how it was, dude. We got first day of school. We got two pair of jeans, two shirts, notebooks, pens, underwear, socks, t-shirt. You had to rock that for the half of the year, and then you got new stuff as the year went on. But I was just looking at it because I was thinking about the kids going by. But that's how it was. Yep. Permanent creases. That's in the 80s. That's growing up in St. Nick. And British Walkers, that's when British Walkers was in style. British Walkers and Playboys. British Walker, some dudes, the real fly dudes, and I see them till this very day. I ain't gonna say their name. I've been seeing them till this very day. They was the fly dudes back in the days. They used to have all color. They used to have British Walkers in all colors, brown and beige, beige and brown, light blue and dark blue and light blue, green. They used to have British Walkers in all flavors. And Playboys. I remember this dude named Dana. I don't know where Dana. I don't see Dana no more. But the other Dana used to be fly as hell. Yep. That was back in the days. All right, y'all. Take it easy. Holy jeans. Later, alligator.